Hello everyone, Brooke here from BB Henry Art, and I'm excited to show you a little spread in this new journal that I started. It's from a book that I found at the antique store. It is on the front, it says Farm Bureau, and I'm gonna guess it was, like farmers used it, and it's thin enough, skinny enough that you could fit it in like your shirt pocket. And to start out, I took out about half of the pages, I would say, just because when I create mixed media, I know that I enjoy adding bulk, and I didn't want this to be so overflowing in the end that it was cumbersome, if that makes sense. So I carefully took those pages without ruining the binding, and to give it a little bit of reinforcement, this one looked like it was just stitched on the sewing machine. So I actually just took it and stitched it on the sewing machine. So you can actually see the binding now through the cover, but I think it looks really great, and I'm excited how that turned out. Throughout, I'll add probably little bits of tape where the binding needs more security. So like on the bottom of this page, you can see I have a little piece of masking tape. So I do apologize. I'm dealing with some allergies, hopefully not a cold, when I am recording this voiceover. So my voice may sound a little bit different, but I'm loving this little journal, this size. So it's tall, but not like tall. It's probably not more than like 4 inches tall, maybe 2.5 wide by 4 tall, if I remember correctly. And this is becoming the perfect warm-up journal for me. Coming down to my studio, I don't know exactly where I want to start, what I want to do. Doing a little spread in this journal is like the perfect way. It takes me under 10 minutes usually to do a spread. If I'm with it, if I'm making some quick decisions, not always are you going to be making quick decisions when you create. Sometimes you do want to slow down and just really see what happens. I started out this spread by adding in some scribble marks with a couple different color pencils. Those ones did not happen to be water soluble. And then I came back in with some Quink ink, which I love the color of. It's kind of a Payne's gray once it dries. The name on the bottle I think is Jet Black, but possibly. Anyway, I do link all the supplies that I use down in the description below if you have any questions about those. I also came back in then with some white gesso and did some fingerprints, but I also kind of blended that in with some of the pigment that was already on the page, which gave it a really nice integrated feel. Now I'm coming in with some collage bits, and this was just a piece of vellum, I think, and it had some text on it. Adding that in, I love using those papers that have that see-through appearance, like a vellum or a deli paper or tissue paper, things like that, because you can have that appearance of the collage, but you can still see and have the essence of what's going on underneath. So that transparency layer really adds a lot of interest to your pieces. I'm playing around here if I want to add this piece. I believe it's from a printable actually, and I'm thinking this was one from Robin Marie, and I love the colors with it and trying to find a really fun way to use it. I love finding ways to include those digital download printables into my work. It makes things really quick and easy and allows you to integrate different styles. One of my favorite ways to use printables is to add additional art marks onto them, and it really makes that come alive and gives it some texture and dimension. So I'm playing around with my different layers here, seeing what I really want that focal piece to be on this page, where I can add some of those real points of interest onto it, and just working at a little slower pace here, deciding where I want things to go and how I want it to look. As I said, I'm really enjoying this little journal, and I can already tell that I'm going to be sad when it's empty, or full, I should say, and I don't have any pages left to do in it. But I also know that now this was a good thing to do because I love the size of it. So I can go from here and I can make my own journal that's this size. Another thing that I love about this one is it's pretty much a blank slate to work in. But instead of just plain white pages, it does have this interest going on in the background where it's that faint ruled lines going on, and it still gives you the capabilities of a completely blank canvas, but it's also a little bit something extra. So now I was adding in some more of that colored pencil, adding in some more of that gesso. This is something that I often like to do if I start with some base layers on the page and maybe some mark making, and then I add collage. I like to come in and add more of those elements on top of the collage. What I find this does is it really integrates the collage in with the background or whatever you're working on. So instead of your collage pieces looking like maybe they're an afterthought and just slapped on top, they look like they really flow with what's going on behind the scenes, and it kind of brings what's going on in the background to the foreground a little bit there. I knew initially where I wanted this little printable piece to go, but I did experiment with a few different placements, which is always a fun thing to do because you may have something initially in mind, and probably 9 times out of 10 you're going to go with that first instinct. But unless you try different things, you may not end up expanding your thought processes and the possibilities of what could be. So I do like to think about different placements and not just my initial placement for everything. So I like how this one turned out. I added in a little bit more blue pencil on top. This download had a few more colors in it, which is not a bad thing at all. I think it's gorgeous. When I work, I tend to work very monochromatically or in that analogous color scheme where all the colors are next to each other on the color wheel. This one is definitely very monochromatic where I really do play up those black and whites, but I'm focusing on just one color. And the way to get dimension, I think, when you're working monochromatically is to get different values, different shades and tones of that same color. So we're not working with all that same blue, but we're bringing in different shades of the blue. Adding in the white gesso that mixes with the blue a little bit helps to bring in some of those lighter shades as well. There looked like there was some art marks on that digital download that I printed out, and so I'm adding in some more. It's going to make that really pop, and then adding in some of those marks throughout the rest of the spread as well, so that they're not just in that one spot. It really flows throughout the page, and sometimes these little white dots act as kind of a highlight and they lead your eye across the page. I'm really excited to be working in this journal and to share this little quick tutorial with you guys. I hope that you enjoyed it. If this is your first time here, make sure that you are subscribing to my channel and following along and hit that like button. And I cannot wait to see you guys next time and to show you more spreads in this journal and other journals as well. Have a good one, you guys. See you next time.